Oh my god, this sofa is awful.
I know, right? So my best gig we ever played was the first hometown show we did. For me, it was in Corby, in Northamptonshire, and we played with As the Sun Sleeps and Reckless Intentions and a band called Fentoozler. We had a lot of people there. It was a good sold-out show, and we also covered the Proclaimers, so it was a lot of fun.
So my best gig with Penelope Tree was the last show of a run that we did. We played at Blue Line Studios down in Bournemouth, and it was of Old Drummer's hometown, so we had an absolutely awesome crowd, and it was the first time we had people full on screaming our songs back at us, and there was no stage, but crowd surfing and people on each other's shoulders, and it was a tiny room, super sweaty, but we all had so much fun at that show.
I say, even though probably one of my favourite experiences we had, it was one of the first shows we actually played when Chris joined the band, and it was at this awesome place in Wales where all of the walls were painted like old school horror films, and the show went absolutely incredible. But then after we came and played the set, the bartender came out and gave everyone these free drinks, but I do remember as soon as just smelling the drink and immediately having to go outside and be sick, because I had eaten a vast amount of bread and drank nothing but wine for the whole journey over. We were in a car for 4.5 hours, and me and Glenn proceeded to get absolutely shit-faced between 9 and about 4 in the afternoon. And then I played the show to severe dehydration and was sick all over the cobbled streets of Penelope.
So I'd say the best gig I've played with Penelope Tree was quite recently, actually, in London. We played, where was it? Okay, so the best show I've ever played with Penelope Tree was probably quite recently in London. We played a show at the Macbeth with 2 Year Break. It was just beautifully organised, and I don't really know what we were expecting, but before the show there was a queue outside, which we're not really used to, so that's pretty tough.
My worst gig experience probably will have to be, we were playing the show, after being told it was going to be quite a full, quite booked out room. We got there and it was during the day of an England World Cup game. And then we turned up, and not only was there no one in the venue throughout the entire show, we went on. It was essentially just a practice where we came on and played. Even the bar staff walked out while we were playing. It was a nice, fulfilling experience. But then after which, when I was living far away at the time, so I had to go get a train back where I lived, and because we were late out, I ended up missing my train. I then had to sleep in a bush under a duvet, and then I was promptly moved at around 3 in the morning by some crackheads.
The worst show I have ever played was with my old band called Street Fight Silence. It was one of those Ox Jam gig things in Kingston, and there was not one paying customer. It was a massive empty gym, and basically I spent the whole time out the back just sulking, and one of my bandmates came out to me and said, you should come and see this. I come out, and the singer of this headline band is shit-faced and naked, sitting on my drum kit, and my dad has gone on stage and stopped the show and grabbed this guy, and my dad's shouting at him on stage, and my dad's a pretty calm dude, so yeah, that was dreadful. And my drum kit was brand new, so this guy had teabagged my brand new drum kit. Yeah. So about a year before I joined Penelope Tree, I filled in for a little run of shows while their old drummer Luke was away, and basically we had a show in Watford, and I wrote off my car on the way to the show, and I still made it. And actually, we played pretty good.
The worst show I think I've ever played with Penelope Tree, it's got to be a tiny little venue. It wasn't even really a venue. We were told it was a venue, and we turned up, and it was a pub, and we were playing in the corner of this pub, which was kind of tucked out of the way of the main seating area of the pub. So we were basically playing to a wall, and then a bunch of patrons who just didn't care about us. And for some reason, unbeknownst to any of us, and I think if you ask any of us to this day, we wouldn't be able to answer you why we decided this was a good idea. But we decided that it was a good idea to play some new songs that we'd never rehearsed all the way through, and we just about managed to learn them, and we decided that was a good idea, and it was an absolute train wreck. The one good thing about that show, though, was there was a guy playing a ukulele as one of the opening acts, and he did like a bunch of like Wonder Years covers and all that kind of stuff with the ukulele, and basically him shouting into the air, and that was great fun.
My worst gig experience was also in Corby. Now the gig itself wasn't too bad, it was for Halloween, but promptly after this gig, the car we travelled in broke down on the M1. So we ended up stopping in a service station to wait 4 hours to be picked up. At the end of the 4 hours, we got a nice little phone call to tell us it was going to be another 4 hours until they arrived to rescue us. So another 4 hours went by, and when they turned up, they could only take us 2.5 miles down the road to the next service station on the M1. So they dropped us off there, but they assured us another car would be there to pick us up and collect us and get us home to safety. So we waited another hour, and then a van turned up, which in no way is going to tow 4 guys and all the equipment home. So he promptly just drove off. So at this point we had no idea what was going on. We waited another hour. At this point we'd been awake for roughly about 16 hours. And how we got home was eventually they just sent a taxi. So we had to leave the car with all the gear in it, just in a random service station. And yeah, we all got home. We were supposed to play another show the next night, but yeah, none of us were up for that.
Cool.
Can we say crackers? I think so. I think I've said it. Crackers.
Crackers. Speak out.
Where was it? What was the menu?
Blackheart.
No. The Macbeth. You can edit that bit out.
See, this is a professional. Right? Look at this man. He's fucking straight faced.
Beth in.
You might have to start again.
So